What's up, YouTube? So, I'm looking at, a list of a lot of games coming out for 2013. And, it's probably comes as no surprise to anybody when I say this, but wasn't exactly impressed with what I'm seeing. I'm looking at, like, all platforms, stuff like that. But the thing that the one that's really not looking good for is, I'm going to go ahead and say it, it's the Wii U. I mean, a lot of these games that are being made, the third-party companies are pretty much avoiding that system like the plague or whatever. Or at least for these games. I don't know. They might have, I'm not saying they don't have any games planned for it in the works. They might, have other projects that they have specifically planned for the Wii U that they're not talking about yet. I highly doubt it, but, hope springs eternal, I guess. So a lot of these games, they're being passed over for the Wii, and I have a few different theories on why. But the main reason why, and why I'm going with this, a lot of people are going to say like, oh, because the Wii U is not really a next-gen system, it's not going to be powerful enough to hold these games, and that's right there. I'm going to tell you right now, that is not the reason at all. A lot of people saying, oh, the CPU is too weak, you won't be able to keep up with it. And stop that right there, because that's not what's really going to be causing the problem. The reason why, I'll tell you this right now, and a lot of people are probably not going to agree with me on this and probably say something like, oh, you're just damage controlling. No. I'll tell you the reason why you're not going to see a lot of these games coming out on, like, the Wii U and then other systems is because there's no money in it for them. At all. I mean, they figure a lot of the user base for Nintendo is probably going to be parents who, buy the system for the kids, and for the most part they're right. Now, it does happen a lot. They see, like, the latest Mario game, whatever. It's like, oh, let me buy that for my kid, or whatever, stuff like that. And it's not a bad thing, and stuff like that. But the problem is like, what a lot of people don't seem to, like, talk about, at least in certain parts of the game community, is they don't talk about, like, the whole DLC aspect, because that's basically. And I've said this before, what you're going to be looking at in the next gaming generation is just a shitload of DLC stuff, right? See where I'm going with this? It's like, you're paying $60, probably $70, I don't know how much is going to go up in the next generation. And you're going to buy a game, and you're going to be looking forward to DLC. And not just DLC later down the road, which I've come to, I'm going to go ahead and say, it's not. I don't think it's as terrible as having on-disc DLC, because that is just a ripoff right there. Now, if there's a part of the game they didn't start yet and they want to add it to later, I've acquiesced and conceded that I would be all right with that if it makes the game interesting. But a lot of what's been going on in the past couple of years, basically, is, and especially Capcom's been like the greatest offender this year of that, is they're releasing these games for full price. But half the damn game is still locked on there, and they expect you to pay for it. So you're paying $60 for half the game. Which in essence make you think, well, if I just paid you double that, could I get the full game? Which, and the reason why they do that is because if they put a $120 price tag on games, nobody's going to buy them. At all. I mean, if when Grand Theft Auto 5 comes out, if they say, well, here's the edition where nothing is locked, you don't have to pay for any DLC, but it's going to cost you $120. Game's not really going to sell that much. I know there are going to be there's probably going to be some hardcore friends who be like, oh, well, I'll pay you that since I get. Yeah, there are going to be people who do that anyway. The stupid people. But the truth is like, a lot of people will be like, $120 for the. I got better things to do with my money. And this was going to happen, so. And, so they're looking at that and thinking, well, the user base for the PS3, PS4, Xbox 360, and Xbox 720 and PC, they're pretty much people who have jobs and are spending their money. I'm not saying all people who buy Nintendo don't have jobs. I'm saying, like, they're not looking at it at a gamer base. They're looking at a consumer base and who they're going to get the most money out of. And who they're going to get the most money out of? Adults who will pay the $60 for the original game, and they know that people will put out the extra money for the DLC. You see where I'm going with this? And they're going to look at Nintendo and be like, I just don't see them. They just don't see Nintendo doing this. They don't see Nintendo putting games. I mean, I'm sure they easily could. I'm not saying it's not something that's not going to happen. I mean, Nintendo themselves might be planning some shit like this. You're going to pay for the next Zelda game, and then there's going to be a DLC for that later on. Maybe even on this DLC. You don't know. They could be planning it themselves, but like, if they're not talking about it, nobody knows. And a lot of people are going to be looking at that. And that's basically what it is. Because what a lot of people don't understand, or a lot of these gamers don't seem to understand, is the people who make, right now, there probably was a time where they did, but as of now, they don't give a shit about you. At all. They're not catering to you. They're catering to their wallets. They want to exploit just pretty much get the money transferred from your wallet to theirs. Right? That's what they're looking at right now. Video game making has become a actual business. Not something that 4 people made in a boiler room in some tech company. They're like dedicated movie budget type games out there that like 80 to 100 people are working on developing, and they gotta pay all those people. So they gotta find ways to like get more money out of this game. It's like, okay, all this, and you gotta keep in mind that maybe not everybody is willing to buy a $60 game at all straight out. So they figure, well, we gotta put this game out, but we need a hook. We need something that's gonna give them more money even after the game comes out, and that is DLC. You see what I'm saying here? And that is pretty much the major reason why you don't see a lot of these third-person games coming out for the Wii U. It's got nothing to do with the tech. As much as people like to think that it has to do with the tech, it's not. Really, these tech heads are just, a bunch of fucking morons who don't even enjoy gaming. They just want to, masturbate to the whole idea of high tech in a system. And that's what it is. But a lot of people are sitting there going, well, they're not porting it because the system can't handle it. The system can handle it. They just don't want to do it. Because they know they're probably not going to get as much money out of that version that they would for the Xbox and the PS3 version. And I'm actually going to not say much about PC version because a lot of PC users like mod the crap out of everything, and they can probably find ways to get and play the DLC without actually having to pay for it. So that is not a shot at PC gaming. I'm just saying that's basically how that goes. So they're looking more towards the Xbox 360 and PS3 side of things as far as the third-party gaming goes, because that's basically where they're going to make the most money out of those two versions. That's how that is. So they're not looking at the Wii U as a moneymaker for them, because they don't expect much of the gaming user base to actually buy that system for other than the standard Nintendo first party stuff. So there's that. That's basically how that is. So a lot of people are thinking like, oh well, they're saying what they're going to say, and it doesn't matter what side of the fence that somebody's on. That's basically going to be the argument, because like I said, this just goes into whole fanboyism thing, and that's never going to end. When PS4 and Xbox come out, Nintendo people are going to talk crap about that. And when PS4 comes out, the PS4 user base is going to talk crap about the other two systems. And it's just come from all sides. So that's basically what we're looking at with there. So something to think about. I know a lot of people might disagree with me. They might tell me, well, because I'm an idiot because of this, that, and might start throwing like tech specs at me, which is not really going to change my opinion on anything. Because they easily could put these games on the system, whether they build it from the ground up or port it, but they're not going to because they're not going to see the money on it. Now, small prediction I have here, and I could be way off the mark on this, I could be wrong, so don't quote me on this, is like, when you see the games coming out like Grand Theft Auto and other games that have no plans for the Wii U, but they're going to put the DLC on it, eventually you might see a Game of the Year edition, and you might possibly see that Game of the Year edition on the system, on the Wii U. You might actually see that. I mean, best example I have of that is Mass Effect 3. Not Mass Effect 3, Mass Effect 2. It came out for the Xbox 360. They put the game on there, they did all the DLC, and then they came out with the PS3 version, which had that game, plus all the DLC already on it, minus the ones that they added later. So there's that. So there's an example of that happening. So chances are, if you don't see the initial version of these games end up on the Wii U, you might see some kind of complete edition or game of the year edition on it. Now, like I said, I could be wrong. That's just a prediction that might go nowhere. But it's something to think about, and only time will tell. So yeah, that's pretty much all I had to say about that, and I'll see you guys next time.